Don't miss new episodes of So What Happened To, Saturday mornings on RatedEm.
Anti-piracy screens are a popular video trend online. There's a certain thrill behind watching these videos and feeling the off-putting aura that they give off. However, there's so many online with varying degrees of believability. This raises the question, how many of them are real, and do game developers put measures like this in their games today? Welcome back to Internet Mysteries, where today we're discussing and debunking some anti-piracy measures in video games. So, to preface, in recent years, there's been a trend online of uploading various anti-piracy screens from video games online. If you really don't know what I'm talking about, supposedly there are hidden menus and screens in video games that only appear if you play a pirated, or in other words, stolen, copy of a video game. A lot of them are for Nintendo games, which I want to make note of. I feel like there's a reason that they're Nintendo games specifically, and I will discuss that in a bit. But the main concept behind these screens becoming a trend is because they're unsettling and creepy. They evolved into a trend because of the weird feeling that a lot of people get when they see them. But why? What are these feelings, and what causes them? Well, before we jump into that, I want to first possibly ruin the whole thing for you. A lot of these supposed anti-piracy screens you see online are fake. Don't get me wrong, there are a few, like this one from Donkey Kong Country 3, but the ones that you'll see online are just fake animations done by some real talented folks. They do a great job at achieving the atmosphere that the trend aims for, and some of them are honestly really cool when you think about it from a technological perspective. A lot of these are manipulating the game itself, alongside using some really interesting editing techniques to give the illusion that they're real. I gotta hand it to a lot of these creators, but sorry, most of the ones that you'll see or have seen are fake. Now, let's get into why these videos are unsettling to watch. The main feeling that these videos make you feel are feelings of dread and guilt. They play heavily on the idea of you imagining a world where seeing these screens happens to you. Most of them have text that says something along the lines of the game recognizing that you've committed a crime, and it puts the blame and guilt on you to recognize your mistake and do something about it, such as owning up and admitting to the company that you've pirated the game. They'll say shit like, please report this copy to Nintendo using this phone number, or some variation of that. And okay, speaking of Nintendo, I want to return to that idea that most of these are related to Nintendo games. I honestly think that this is intentional, as a lot of people who view these videos are viewing ones of games that they've played, like Mario Kart Wii or Mario Party DS. These games are familiar to the viewer, and I think that seeing something familiar present itself in an unfamiliar way is a huge contributor to the unsettling feeling that these videos give off. I also think that the juxtaposition of a cheery, happy Nintendo game scolding you has a hand in the atmosphere these videos create. And finally, some of these just have unnerving, creepy visuals. As someone who does get uncomfortable looking at like primitive 90s CGI, this Donkey Kong Country 3 one does legitimately creep me out.
Want to support the channel? Be sure to share this video with your friends. RatedEm episodes are made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
So as I mentioned, a lot of the ones that you'll see on YouTube are fake. A lot of developers actually don't put screens like this in their games anymore, and a lot of devs would much rather just have fun with the people who pirated their games. They'd much rather shame them in a silly, annoying way rather than a horror, scary way. For example, Mirror's Edge, a game about parkouring, will have the main character, Faith, slow down before making a jump, rendering the game completely unplayable since you need that momentum to cross gaps. Batman Arkham Asylum does a similar thing, where the very important mechanic of gliding with Batman's cape is just entirely removed, which makes certain segments unplayable. The Sims 4 does this thing where when your sim takes a shower, they'll have this pixelated blur over their body to censor the nudity. That's nothing new. However, if you play a pirated copy of the game, the pixelated blur will slowly spread to every object in the game. Both Gary's Mod and Skullgirls have a similar bit regarding their anti-piracy. In Gary's Mod, you'll get an error that says unable to shade polygon normals, which prevents you from playing the game. Pirates would then go to the Steam forums to ask about the error, but the catch is the error would only appear for pirated copies of the game. Therefore, complaining or asking about the issue would essentially lead to the pirates outing themselves and getting their Steam accounts banned. Skullgirls did a similar thing in that upon completing arcade mode in a pirated copy, the game would ask you about the square root of a fish. Pirates would then post this error online, confused about the pop-up, and then end up reporting themselves as pirates. Alan Wake doesn't do anything inherently game ruining aside from putting a pirate patch on the character model, just to let you know that the devs know what you did. My point with all of these examples is that devs would much rather just just point and laugh at pirates, as opposed to creeping them out with these supposed scary piracy screens. Some game devs have even pushed for the piracy of their own games for people who can't access it in certain regions. The devs of Hotline Miami told people to pirate it if they lived in Australia, since the game was banned due to its graphic content. The point is, not only do these anti-piracy screens seldomly actually exist, but devs would just much rather go about dealing with piracy in other, funnier ways.